wankers, Flapjack Bickle here, to have a laugh at some of the world's most idiotic jury decisions. In this video we'll be looking at the case of Jimmy Scandarito, a 50-year-old resident of Boca, Florida, who went on trial in 2019 for the murder of his father, a 74-year-old ex-judge. When Jimmy took the stand, he explained that on the night of March 28, 2018, he and his dad James, who was known to friends as Skip, were drinking and doing drugs together. Jimmy stepped outside to use the phone briefly, presumably to call his fucking shrink, and when he returned he found Skip slumped over in a pile of cocaine. Jimmy said he assumed his dad had suffered a fatal heart attack and then he panicked. Now we're all familiar with this type of dilemma, of course. Do we A. attempt CPR, call an ambulance, call the cops, or B. go to a local store, buy bin bags, duct tape and mop and some beer and then chop up the body with a handsaw? It's a tough choice, and Jimmy chose option B. Good job he remembered to get some beer though. It must be thirsty work dismembering your dad. He explained to the jury that he was worried he'd go to jail if the police discovered the cocaine, so he made a, quote, bad decision. Now I'm a fairly regular bloke, so to me a bad decision means parking on double yellows and getting a ticket, or having a drunken one-night stand with a hideous co-worker. But for Jimmy, a bad decision ends with a family member in 8 pieces. Anyway, he disposed of the body parts in various locations, including a construction site dumpster and an abandoned golf course. Then he reported Skip as missing. Cops were immediately suspicious of Jimmy and put him under surveillance, and he pretty much led them right to the remains after a couple of days. He was subsequently arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Investigators didn't buy his heart attack story, especially when they discovered he was broke and stood to inherit $800,000 from his dad's estate. The medical examiner couldn't determine the cause of death, but did conclude there was no cocaine in Skip's system. The head was never located, I'm guessing because there was probably a fucking great hole in it, which would have been slightly incriminating for his son. When Jimmy went on trial in spring 2019, you'd assume logic and common sense would prevail. After all, nothing in his story made any sense. The toxicology report had already exposed him as a liar, and it's inconceivable that he'd find his own father dead from a heart attack and, rather than call for help, choose to cut up his body. These were clearly the actions of someone who committed murder and then tried to cover it up, hoping the body would never be found. Amazingly though, after their deliberations, the jury, who I can only assume were collectively asleep for most of the trial, acquitted Scandarito of murder, and only found him guilty of the lesser charge of abuse of a dead body. Thankfully, the judge, who clearly thought Jimmy was guilty as hell, threw the book at him and gave him the maximum 15-year sentence for the abuse charge. It's scary to think that the jury's acquittal verdict was a unanimous decision. This means 12 out of 12 randomly selected jurors actually believed that horse shit that the defendant was slinging at them. Well, Jimmy's doing hard time now, where his main priority seems to be getting his hands on that 800 grand. Apparently he believes he's fully entitled to it. And why not? After all, America loves to reward hard work, and it's not easy slicing up a corpse. Nothing wrong with a bit of negotiation though. I think 100 grand per limb is fair, with maybe a decapitation bonus thrown in. It's a good old US of A, home of the depraved. Show me the money. Well, I better be off now. There's something I need to check in my parents' life insurance policy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, but if you didn't, frankly, you can kiss my arse. You take care now.